Got a hot topic here. We're going to talk about brand versus non-brand, what to do, how to fix it. We're going to dive into, what we do over here at White Labeled. So hopefully this is a big value add for you. Let's hop in. If you're spending a huge chunk of Google Ads budget on branded search, thinking it's a guaranteed win, you might be burning money without realizing it. More often than not, you're actually spending, or at least from the accounts that, we've audited over here, plenty of accounts that don't have the proper exclusions in place. 60, 70, 80% of their total Google Ads budget is going into branded search, branded spend. What does branded spend mean? My company's name's White Labeled. I'm bidding on White Labeled. Someone is doing a branded search. What would a non-branded search look like? That would be marketing agency, D2C agency, lead gen agency. Those could be non-brand searches. You see the difference? One, you don't necessarily need to pay for, but you're likely going to want to be there to compete. Protecting your brand is important, but if your branded search strategy is just set it and forget, you're playing right into Google's hands, prioritizing return on ad spend over real growth. And worse, you are paying for clicks you probably would have gotten for free. So today I'm breaking down why brands overspend on branded search, how PMax sneaks in to steal your best traffic, and it's not incremental, and what to focus on instead to actually drive incremental growth, which is what we care about. New customers, right? That's why we're spending money, to get in front of new people or to be there when they are searching. Let's hop straight into this. Here are the three main reasons to rethink how you approach brand versus non-brand. Reason number one, PMax, it's a very fun one, Performance Max, will cannibalize your branded search and take credit for it. So more often than not, I have seen this in probably 8 out of 10 of the accounts that I've audited. And I haven't only audited 10 accounts, right? I'm just giving you a smaller number in the past couple quarters. I'll actually even venture to say over the past year since PMax has been created, right? So I do see this a lot where PMax is artificially inflating its true value that's being delivered to your business because it is bidding in branded auctions more often than not. So how do we find this? Right here, you come over, you click on the Insights tab, and then as you scroll down, you'll start to see top performers. In addition to that, you'll see competitors. But as you come down, you'll see those search term insights, like I was saying, where most of the conversion value or, revenue is coming from. You could also switch out like what you're looking for, but typically I lean towards value because I really want to know what category is standing out. More often than not, we'll see branded terms holding the majority of the clicks, holding majority of the conversion value. And that's not the intention. Google wants PMax to be your one size fits all campaign. But if you let it run wild, like I know this because I've seen it time and time again, it will bid on your branded keywords. And it's going to take credit for conversions that could have likely been yours already, right? Organically. You've taken the time to build, your organic socials. You've taken the time to reach out to influencers, do maybe product seeding if that's what you've done. So why are we not spending on our brand campaigns with intention? Why are we not truly prospecting with wonderful acquisition engines? And PMax is a wonderful tool to acquire new customers. So why does this happen? Because the campaign type prioritizes easy conversions. Let's be real. Brand search traffic is the lowest hanging fruit. So Google's going to shift budget there because based off of, the bidding algorithm or the bid strategy you're utilizing, it wants to prioritize these easy, quick wins, these conversions, because you see a high ROAS. What are you going to do? Let's double down on it. Let's keep on spending. But there is going to be a plateau because guess what? There's only so much brand search you're generating, okay, in the Google Ads ecosystem. Now, there are instances where I see people spending tons of money, tens, thousands in Meta and in other, top of funnel channels where they're creating that demand. And then when people come to search, brand does grow over time. I mean, it would make sense to cover that because maybe you have other people cherry picking, But that's not what we're getting at here. So keep in mind, PMax is prioritizing easy conversions. Another reason why it happens, Google's reporting does not separate new versus returning customers in PMax. This means Google could be eating into organic traffic, existing customers, and you won't even know. Now, what you can do is you could toggle that new versus existing toggle. I'll get into that a bit, but for the sake of this, we also want to look at your dedicated brand search campaign will start losing impression share to PMax. The whole name of the game, especially in the Google ecosystem, is to control budgets. That's why there's been a lot of hot talk on PMax campaigns, because it's kind of been a black box, right? I did a LinkedIn post recently because they just unveiled new channel transparency, which is going to be epic. Right now, I'm working on getting it allow listed for some of our accounts, just so we could help give some valuable feedback back to Google. So you, the advertiser, can start to see more rewards from getting better controls inside of your PMax campaigns. Now, a tip on our end, it's not a fix, but a tip that we have, keep your brand search campaign separate and have your keywords that you know are tried and true and you'll win on. We like to lean on, phrase match. Sometimes we'll use exact match because, we did a lot of mining in the beginning, but focus on that. Have a separate campaign for brand just so you can control it. And then what you're going to want to do is exclude your brand list in PMax. And guess what? Really cool feature. Some accounts have them now. You could actually put negatives in your PMax campaigns under keywords. Super cool. We're getting a lot closer to being able to actually truly utilize this campaign type as an acquisition engine. And when I say acquisition, I'm talking new customers, not money we could have already been making. So option 2, brand search shouldn't be your focus unless you're protecting it. What do I mean by this? More often than not, brands see a sky-high return on ad spend, ROAS, on branded search and think, wow, it's working. But here's the kicker. Brand campaigns should only be used to protect your brand from competitors. Why am I saying that? Because it's not a growth driver. I'm going to repeat that. It is not a tool to acquire new customers with. These people have seen you from other channels, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, CTV. They saw you in a store. They wanted to do a quick Google search for you. Maybe they did an AI search. You came up. They then do a search for your branded term and end up clicking on an ad. How do you know that they weren't going to click on an organic result if you weren't in that auction? The only time you would want to be in this auction is if you got competition and competitors are in the auction. That's not to say you don't want to run branded campaigns, because they are pretty cool tools for us to be able to observe other audiences and how other campaign types could potentially interact with our branded campaign and increase brand traction that we're building over time. It's a really unique thing to view. I did make a comment about ROAS before and brand. So if your main KPI for success is return on ad spend, it's likely you're focusing on the wrong thing. We'll get into why that's a problem in an upcoming video, but just know this. If you don't know your cost to acquire a customer, your break-even cost to acquire a customer, your contribution margin, or your CLTV, ROAS is meaningless. Can't tell you how often I've seen accounts, like I've mentioned before, where 70% of the budget is going towards branded searches. And Google's not even spending what it could be spending. And that's because you're not utilizing Google the way it can be utilized. So when should you prioritize branded search? If you have competitors actively bidding on your brand terms, right? If someone searches for your brand, like I mentioned before, competitor's ad pops up first, guess what? You need to own that space. So make that ad as sexy as possible, okay? Site links, call outs, structured snippets, put everything you can in there. If you have a crazy offer, front and center, have that. We have a client that has a phenomenal offer, one of the best offers in their industry, and we'll run a conquesting campaign. And we'll drop that offer in every single auction. You know why? Because we know we have a better offer. Imagine if you weren't holding your brand position, recognizing that client, and then making an offer just to counteract that. This is a reason why you want to protect it. So brand is a protection mechanism. It's a shield. If your organic rankings aren't strong enough, this is another reason you want to run brand search. Safeguard to ensure you're the top result. So like I mentioned, it's all protection. When is brand a trap? So if it's eating too much of your total Google budget, like I mentioned, high return on ad spend looks great on a report, but it does not mean you are getting new customers. I'm trying to hammer this point home. If your team is optimizing towards branded ROAS instead of focusing on new customer acquisition, you got a problem. So if your strongest campaign is brand search, there might be a growth problem here, okay? We need to figure out how we can reduce the spend as much as possible, potentially switch up the bidding mechanisms, maybe move into an impression-based bidding, hold a 90% impression share. A little thing that we've seen, brands where 60 to 70% of their return on ad spend comes from brand search, meaning their non-brand campaigns weren't actually scaling. We fix this by reallocating budget to non-brand prospecting while still keeping a tight grip on brand protection. An example, I shared an amazing case study recently of one of our new clients who we switched the bidding model on their branded search campaign. We were able to drop CPCs by almost 80%, which was out of control. We were able to unlock an additional $10,000 to put towards new customer acquisition. How does that sound? There's a lot of brands out there. You might be overspending on your brand campaigns, on your brand traffic. The difference between brand shopping and non-brand shopping. Why does it matter? And when I say shopping, I'm not talking about feed-only PMAX. I'm talking about standard shopping campaigns. Yes, we use them because like I mentioned before, transparency really matters to me. And me and my team need to ensure we are able to control placements because at the end of the day, we're money managers. The people managing your ad campaigns are managing your money. Make sure they know where your money is going. Here's where most brands mess up. They lump all shopping ads into one strategy and don't realize the difference between brand and non-brand campaigns. I'm gonna give you a quick breakdown, keeping it high level. So branded shopping ads capture high intent searches from people already looking for your product. They tend to convert better. Why? Because people know your brand. So think of like Nike Air Jordans, Nike Pegasus, right? Those are all branded terms that Nike owns. Let's think of Flux footwear, Flux minimalist footwear. That is a branded search. It's likely to convert better because the brand itself has recognition. They are building demand through other channels, increasing their discoverability. And then when someone goes to search, they're gonna look up that, right? They have a different role than non-brand. They're part of your brand defense strategy, not your core acquisition driver. So keep that in mind. We do see a lot of successful performance here. And more often than not, a lot of campaigns are going to be branded. Now, testing. Testing is key, especially when acquiring new customers. And this is where non-branded shopping ads come into place. So what you'll do is you'll remove the branded terms from these titles because what you want to end up targeting are competitor searches, category level keywords, right? I talked about Flux, minimalist shoes. So here we're going to use best minimalist sneakers, best minimalist shoes versus Flux shoes versus Vibram 5-finger toe shoes. We're going to do toe shoes because now we're going after a non-branded search. What does this do? Helps you acquire new customers who haven't heard of you, your brand, just yet, right? And you'll be in other auctions with other brands. So you're increasing your discoverability. Who is this guy? Does his image look better? Does his shoe look better? Does his product look better? Does he have better reviews? Another reason, they're usually less efficient. I do want to note this than brand shopping ads, but they are actually a true driver of new revenue growth. So here's some insight from my team. If you don't separate your brand versus non-brand shopping campaigns, Google will spend your money on the easiest wins, which is, you guessed it, your own brand campaigns. And they will also neglect non-branded search, which is where real new customer acquisition happens. To wrap everything up in a nice bow for you, how to protect brand search while driving real growth. What you should do instead, Don't let PMax bid on your branded keywords. Keep them locked in a dedicated manual search campaign with exact match targeting or phrase match targeting. Make sure you have, negative keywords. Sometimes I see review, near me, all these terms jack up our CPCs, and you want your brand campaign to be as tight as possible. Your PMax, make sure you have proper exclusions in place. Use it as an acquisition engine. Exclude brand searches, use a brand list. Like I told you earlier, you have access now, or at least in some of our accounts, we got access to negative exclusions, and we can do that ourselves. Don't let brand eat up most of your budget. I harped on this a lot for a reason. Use it only for protection. I gave you a lot of examples there, not as your primary growth lever. What to do? Break out brand shopping versus non-branded shopping, right? This is a really cool one. Very unique test. It'll give you clarity on what's actually driving new customer growth versus what's just capturing existing demand. Keep an eye on your brand campaigns growth over time. If brand spend keeps increasing, but non-brand campaigns, PMax, aren't scaling, this may be a sign that you need to dive into things and there's some cannibalization happening, right? Because existing demand might be getting captured and we're not really unlocking that new customer acquisition that we're looking for, okay? Let's not waste potential here. If your Google Ads strategy is too reliant on brand search, you're leaving money on the table. Want to make sure Google Ads budget is actually driving the incremental revenue, not just inflating return on ad spend. You want to better understand your CAC, your break-even CAC, dive into, customer lifetime value to better understand if this channel is truly scalable. We'll audit your account, help you clean up brand versus non-brand structure, right? And put a profitable system into your business for you, which is a Google Ads engine. If you want to see how we structure campaigns for profitability, I got a video in our channel. Check that one out. Final thought, brand search is important, but it's not your growth engine. Keep it clean. Don't over prioritize it, and make sure you're spending money on what brings in new customers.